It's here in the hilltops over Florence, a team of more than 100 staff are tackling some pretty big questions, like how a galaxy's born. The Arcetri Observatory in Florence is today the centre of research. It's part of the National Institute for Astrophysics. Astronomers, researchers, technical and administrative staff all work here. Here they examine new star formations, how black holes are formed, and how did the universe originate.
We have colleagues that study the extreme evolution of stars, black holes, pulsars, the end of the life of stars. We also study the beginning of the lives of stars, how stars and planetary systems are formed in the galaxy, but also elsewhere in the universe. Then, more recently, we have developed something that is very exciting because it's also for the future. It's not just the present, but it's the future. Namely, we developed some techniques that allow telescopes that are built on the ground, not in space, but on the ground, to observe the stars and the sky as if they were in space. That is to say, beyond the atmosphere. So now these techniques that have been developed here, but then taken to the telescopes around the world, allow to eliminate this disturbance of the atmosphere that we call the turbulence of the atmosphere and give a very sharp, point-like image of a star.
But a lot of the work here also develops the technology we need to examine the solar system, making larger infrared and optical telescopes which help improve our understanding of space. For 200 years there's been an observatory in Florence. It was paid for by the Grand Duke Pietro Leopoldo. In 1872 the observatory was moved here. In its previous location it was too close to the bright lights of the city, making it more difficult to view at night. In its new location, it was to hold the largest telescope of its kind, the Amici telescope. It was named after the director of the observatory, Giovanni Battista Amici. For 40 years, this was the largest refracting lens of its time. It enabled the staff here to observe comets and asteroids. In 1875, a German, Wilhelm Tempel, used the same Amici telescope to discover 100 new galaxies and a comet. Tempel made beautiful hand sketches of his observations and nebulae. One of the drawings which Tempel did was in 1870, and it was of this galaxy, and at the time he drew it with this swirl effect. Each of these sketches are done in pencil, and the fine detail really is remarkable. And it caused great debate, because some people questioned as to whether this was in fact accurate or not. But decades later, with the advance of photography, they realised that this was how the galaxy really looks. Another feature of the observatory is its solar tower. It opened in 1925. It's 25 metres high and modelled on the one at Mount Wilson in the United States. The tower has been used to observe the sun, and it's been used continuously for 70 years. How much is there still to discover about our solar system?
Yeah, this is the exciting part of the recent years. Now we know for sure, statistically, that there are many planets. This is no surprise in a sense, because we live in a system that has one star, the Sun, and 7, 8 planets, plus all the satellites, moons, etc. So in our experience, there is one star and many planets. But this is now true. We have discovered and studied that this also applies to the other stars in the Milky Way, in our own galaxy, and presumably, but we cannot look at these very faint objects in other galaxies yet, that this combination of stars and planets is very frequent. So at the end, there are more planets possibly in our Milky Way than stars. This is very exciting, and we know that. And in the future there will be more and more of these, but the numbers are so high, say 100 billion stars, 200 billion planets. You will never be able to study them individually. What is the next step? The next step is to try and discover planets that look like our own, the Earth. We know that there are planets like Jupiter, like Saturn. That's not exciting because these are balls of gas right, where it would be very difficult or impossible for life to develop. But on planets like our own, rocky planets, life can be born and sustained over the time. And so the focus of the research is to discover something that looks like an Earth.
What's fascinating about this place is its history and all the work that's happened in the past to improve our understanding of the solar system. But best of all, that work continues. The people that are based here are trying to make new discoveries to improve our understanding of the world and the universe all the more.